Hello, my name is Flor Sandoval, and I'm the Program Director at Sonora Environmental Research Institute. Today, we're going to talk about discrimination based on sex and fair housing. SERI is a local nonprofit organization based in Tucson, Arizona, founded in 1994. We work with low-income and minority communities in the Southwest to protect the environment and improve community health. We are committed to make our community a better place where everyone can live, work, and engage. We currently have an outreach and education initiative program funded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. What is the Fair Housing Act? In 1968, the Fair Housing Act, or FHA, was signed, making it illegal for people to discriminate in any aspect of housing based on an individual's race, color, national origin, religion, sex, familiar status, and disability. The FHA defined these as their 7 federally protected classes. Why Fair Housing Act is important? Giving everyone access to housing in every neighborhood ensures that everyone has access to the resources they want and affects the rest of their life. Where the Fair Housing Act applies. The Fair Housing Act applies when people are renting or buying a home, getting a mortgage, seeking a housing assistance, or engaging in any other housing-related activities. Today, we're going to talk about sex and fair housing. Sex includes gender, male or female. It includes sexual orientation and gender identity. A person who identifies as an LGBTQ who has experienced discrimination under any of these bases may file a complaint. HAT is committed to investigating violations of the Fair Housing Act against all individuals, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity. HAT enforces FHA under Biden. HAT directive implements the policies set forth in Biden's executive order to prevent and combat sexual orientation and gender identity-based discrimination. We will leave the link for you to access the executive order and be able to read it completely. Here is a quote from Janine Warden. I'll give you a minute for you to read it. HUD's Equal Access Rule requires equal access to HUD programs without a regard to a person's actual or perceived sexual orientation, gender identity, or marital status. Housing providers that receive HUD funding have HUD-insured loans are subject to these rules. A person who identifies as LGBTQ who has experienced or is about to experience discrimination by a HUD-funded or a FHA-insured housing provider or lender may report it to HUD by either filing a complaint or by contacting a local FHEO office. What is prohibited? For any landlord or housing provider to discriminate against LGBTQ persons because of their real or perceived gender identity or any other reason that constitutes sex-based discrimination. For any landlord or housing provider to deny housing because of someone's HIV/AIDS status under the FHA and the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA. For a lender to deny an FHA-insured mortgage to any qualified applicant based on their sexual orientation, gender identity, or marital status. For any landlord or housing provider who receives HUD's or FHA funds to discriminate against a tenant on the basis of real or perceived sexual orientation, gender identity, or marital status. For a homeless facility to segregate or isolate transgender individuals solely based on their gender identity. Some examples of discrimination based on sex. A transgender woman is asked by the owner of her apartment building not to dress in women's clothing in the common areas of the property. A gay man is evicted because his landlord believes he will infect other tenants with HIVs. A tenant applies for an apartment in a Section 202 building and lists his same-sex partner as his spouse and co-tenant. The provider has a religious objection to homosexual and denies the application. A loan applicant applies in person for an FHA insured loan with a private bank, bringing another woman with her. The loan officer believes that the women are a lesbian couple, and the loan is denied because the bank employee's perception of an applicant as an homosexual. A homeless transgender couple contacts a HUD-funded emergency housing hotline to locate HUD-funded homeless shelters where they could spend the night. They are told that there are several shelters with available beds, but that no program will accept them due to their gender identity. Sexual harassment. What is sexual harassment? A form of sex discrimination prohibited by the FHA. There are two main types of sexual harassment: quid pro quo sexual harassment, hostile environment sexual harassment. Quid pro quo: when a housing provider requires a person to submit an unwelcome request to engage in sexual conduct as a condition of obtaining or maintaining housing or housing-related services. An example will be a property manager evicts a tenant after she refuses to perform sexual acts. Hostile environment: when a housing provider subjects a person to severe unwelcome sexual conduct that interferes with the sale, rental, availability, or terms, conditions, or privileges of a housing or housing-related services, including financing. An example will be a landlord subjects a tenant to severe or unwelcome touching, kissing, or grouping. If you're being discriminated against due to sex, it is important that you speak up. When you speak up, you help stop housing discrimination and sexual harassment from continuing in the community. SERI can help you. File a complaint with us. If you think that you have experienced unlawful discrimination due to sex, you can file a complaint with us. We are certified Arizona Relay-friendly business, partner with those with hearing loss and speech disability. We review each complaint, respond within 1 business day, and collect any other necessary intake information from you. Then we will refer your complaint to the proper agency who will assist you in the resolution of an unfair housing problems due to their enforcement authority. We have 4 different ways where you can file a complaint. We have an online form. We have email. You can email us directly. You can also call our hotline direct line, or you can mail us a complaint. We will respond within 1 business day and refer your complaint to the proper agency. And remember that we are an Arizona Relay-friendly business. We partner with Southwest Fair Housing Consult, who is one of the agencies that we will refer your claim to. We also have a list of additional resources that we can provide you. So feel free to go to our website and find more resources there for fair housing as well as the other fair housing. In this material is based on the work supported by the Department of Housing and Urban Development under the FHIP Grant, and any opinion, findings, or conclusions or recommendations expressed in this material are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views of HUD. Again, thank you and have a wonderful day.